Tonight on the Fanatic Forum, imagine a world that has other comic book movies that don't start with DC or Marvel. We're going to talk about those. And we've got a special guest to do that tonight. And we're going to talk about that and a whole lot of probably other geek stuff. So we're going on some tangents, I'm sure, tonight. Right here on the Fanatic Forum. Happy Friday and welcome to the Fanatic Forum. I'm your Fanatic and host, George Bueller, and we got a good one for you tonight here. We are discussing comic book movies that are not Marvel and DC. And we're going to talk about some of our favorites. Hopefully you guys can share your favorites as well. And I mean, there's actually a longer list than you think here. But of course, I can't do this without my sidearm here, my best mate, the manhammer himself, Seth. How you doing, brother?
Oh, George, I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here tonight. I've been looking forward to this show for ever since we started talking about it. Because we got a great guest tonight, and we're gonna have fun. We're gonna get back and forth, and the best part is, I don't think CM Punk will come up in this conversation.
Well, he just did because you brought him up,
right? So. But I'm putting him into bed. I'm putting him to bed.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, unless you want to talk about the girl on the third floor, then we can talk about CM Punk again. So.
I still don't think that's going to come up.
I've seen the movie. We're not missing too much. Anywho, we got ourselves a podcast crossover tonight. Would want to do this one for a bit here, but see, normally you see Seth on our show, and you also see him on his own podcast, Smokes Roadbeers. But there is another key element to the Smokes Roadbeers podcast: the recovering journalist himself, Bill. Welcome.
What's up, sir? Welcome to the Fanatic Forum. Your first time.
I cannot be more excited to be on another podcast. I've been waiting for this for a while because I've been a fan of George's since way back when he used to do a very similar show. What was the name of the show, George?
The WBKI Fanatic.
Yes. I was a big fan of that show. He had Seth on a bunch of times, so I've been hoping and praying I'd get this guest shot. So I'm going to make the most of it and maybe be invited back. And I will not mention any punks from Chicago. So.
Yeah, and for those of y'all that don't know, a lot of times, of course, when I get to guests on Smokes Roadbeers, we always talk wrestling. I'm a huge CM Punk fan. Bill is not. Seth is somewhere in Switzerland on this one.
I'm in hell when you two start going back and forth about CM Punk. It isn't like, yeah.
But Bill and I have fun. It's like, legitimately.
Y'all have a blast.
We have a blast. It's like going back and forth. That's great.
Poor Seth's like, wait, is Bill serious? Wait, did George just jab back? No, dude, it's all in.
No. Yeah, it is, but it's just like, all right. So 5 minutes of it is one thing, then it goes into 10. 10 turns into 15. And then it's like, well, okay, I'm just gonna start filing my nails.
Okay, you win this round. You're right about that.
I was gonna say there's a particular episode of the Smokes and Roadbeers podcast where Bill and I are really getting into it back and forth, and Seth was like afraid that we were mad at each other when we weren't.
Not even close.
Not even close.
It wasn't so much that I was mad about it. I was just like, all right, guys, like I'm on the show.
You were done with it.
Like, yeah, it's like I'm done. Like, it's like we
now that I get, that I understand.
Yeah. We beat this dead horse for 25 minutes now. Yeah. And for the folks at home, like just to preface this too, like Bill and George are both guys who they kind of like to get the last word in sometimes too, especially for a passionate point.
Yeah.
And so that's how it turns into 25 minutes.
Yes.
Well, I will also say, as like most people will say with age comes wisdom, and gray hair is a sign of that. I will tell you, as I turn 50 this year, there's just so many things now that I used to argue so heavily for that are just not worth it.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
you like this, I like that. Hey, let's shake hands. Let's go have a beer and be on our way.
Dude, I'm a year and a half away from 50, and I'm already in that mindset. So,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
yeah. So,
Yeah. I'm to
we
the
already
point
got
where I type out Reddit comments and then it's like, man, I don't really want to start anything and just delete it. And like, yeah.
I feel that. We already got some comments in here. My man, Cade Hawkins. How you
What's
doing,
up,
sir?
sir?
We are great. And then, of course, you got to say hello to Seth as well.
Howdy, howdy.
And I said, Bill, if you're a recovering journalist, there is a support group. Is there a support group for that? Yeah, I'm sure there is. It's called the bar.
There is.
Yeah.
It's called a bar.
Every recovering journalist just goes to their neighborhood bar, and that's where they hang out. Unless
And
there's
start their own podcast.
yeah, unless unless you go into Main Street in Louisville and they do like 10-cent wing night on Tuesdays.
Yes, sir.
Then basically you're going to see like everybody from like DR. You're going to see like the whole production crew from like DRB and LKY and all the local stations all hanging out. So yeah, they'll be over at Main Street. Yep. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that, George, because back in, I want to say it was right before 9/11, back in the late 90s, early 2000, I worked for a station in Evansville, Indiana. And while we all competed against each other, as you do, I mean, if you want to be the best, then don't be in this business. But at the end of the day, after the 10 o'clock news, we all went to Joey's Karaoke Bar down on 3rd Street in Evansville, Indiana, and we just belted out the worst Backstreet Boys karaoke covers with $2 Jello shots and $1 domestic drafts. So, it was a lot of fun. It was a great community. But I've been out of the game for so long that I don't even know if recovering journalist. I think I've done the 12-step program for recovering journalists.
You're probably fully recovered. Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
I say I've been out of the game for like over 3, actually closer to 4 years now. Jeez, right. Time's a flat circle, folks. Anywho, I've been out so long that most of the people I used to work with aren't there anymore because either they left or they retired.
Right.
Oh, dang. Yeah.
So, I know. It's like I know like 3 people at the station now. It's like, wow. So, yeah. So I don't have any friends to visit there anymore because it's all new folks. That's okay. Andre Echeverra is in here. How are you, the oldest in here? I don't know, brother. I mean, yeah.
Well, you're also the best looking.
So, I ain't gonna argue there.
Yeah, and then he says, Seth, you look so professional.
I do? Wow.
Ruh-roh.
No, I was gonna say it's like this is like vacation Seth, where like Seth is like, he's been in his house
you're,
like
you're just on the Hawaiian shirt there.
Bohemian it up, yeah.
I think
do we want to sample your karaoke there, Bill?
No, you do not. You do not want that.
You did do a killer cover of Wind Beneath My Wings, though.
No, every little step I take.
Oh yeah, that is yours. That is yours. I always thought though, if I was ever to become a drag queen, you know what my song would be?
What's that?
Rainbow in the Dark by Dio.
I don't know that song.
You'd know it if you heard it. Yeah, you'd know it if you heard it. Bill's not. He'd know it if he heard it, but it's
I'm old.
Yeah,
I'm officially old now. I forget things. It's okay.
That is true. He does a lot. Yeah.
Cade wants to know, how does the word scoop make you feel? Can you get ice cream that way, or does it still have to be soft serve?
The word scoop actually, for me, it brings a different connotation. It brings back the G.I. Joe figure that I hated the most.
Yes!
I hated.
Which one was that?
He was the annoying journalist.
Yeah, he was the annoying journalist that he wouldn't carry a weapon and he would always talk shit or talk smack to everybody.
You can say
shit. Scoop sucks is the G.I. Joe.
Scoop does. I mean, Lifeline didn't carry a gun because he's a pacifist, because he's a mech. That makes sense. But it's like,
the Lifeline figure though had a gun holster, which always bothered me.
Well, he also came with a gun. His gun was like a silver handgun.
Oh yeah,
But in the comics and the cartoon, Larry Hama made his character a pacifist. So
yeah,
wasn't that a taser?
No, it was.
It looked dead ass like it was like a 45 or something.
Totally. Yeah.
Oh, maybe it was like a euthanasia
Aaron
tool.
Thomas Whitlow, what's going on, sir? Good to see you.
Howdy, howdy.
Everybody's in here.
Cracking crackins. That's okay. You can call us that. It's cool.
I like it.
If it's okay, George, I'm going to make sure you go check out Aaron's podcast, the Mark Out Movie Podcast, every Thursday. Yeah, on Facebook and YouTube. Him and his partner, that escapes my memory because I'm old, I can't remember his name, but they do a lot of great movie reviews. Go check out Aaron Whitlow and his podcast, the Mark Out Movie Podcast.
Yeah, Aaron's a good dude.
Aaron's a good dude too, man. Knows his stuff. Yeah,
funny as hell too.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, Kate says Bill was not a music.
No, he wasn't. No.
Oh gosh,
the comment section is bringing in the heat tonight.
We're all a bunch of Weisenheimers in here, but we can't do the Fanatic Forum here without talking about new comics. And of course, we got a good selection of stuff here because we're going to try to fly through the new comics here because our movie discussion is going to take up a lot of time. I know it because we got a lot of cool stuff to talk about here. Let's see. I've got 2 Marvel selections this week here. Issue 4 of the newest version of the Ultimates. This is a really sad issue. Great cover there with the Doctor Doom mask and like basically some lab rat mice there, or kind of looks like they have Fantastic Four powers.
Oh no, that's the one where you find out what happens to the Fantastic Four.
Yes. Right. So basically, in this particular universe of this new Ultimate Universe, which the maker, who is the evil Reed Richards from the original Ultimate Universe, remade the world where all the heroes basically didn't happen. So now they're kind of happening later in this universe. So Reed Richards, the maker, turned into Doctor Doom. And you get to see the whole story of why Reed is dressed as Doctor Doom. There's no Fantastic Four. It's a very good issue, but it is depressing as hell.
I need to check that out. Yeah, because I followed it through. Like, I know that Reed was in the Doctor Doom outfit, and I was like, is there going to be some kind of swerve with this or something? But yeah.
Nope. We found out why it's in here, and it's rough. So, the other Marvel selection this week here, an excellent issue of Daredevil, number 13 of the current run. But this particular cover here is just absolutely beautiful. It's a Gabriel Del Otto cover there.
Oh, yeah.
Are those chains or
no? That's hand tape. That's the white hand tape.
Okay. Like he's like boxing. Okay.
Yeah, like boxers
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And so, so that's using the negative space there and a little bit, just a splash of red in there. It's like, God, beautiful cover, but a really good storyline. Because, of course, in this storyline, the previous run of Daredevil, Matt died. And basically, as his reward for taking out the bad guys, when he came back, basically, God made him a priest. And he was still Daredevil, but none of his friends remembered that he was alive. And so he's able to masquerade as a Catholic priest and then also be Daredevil, but kind of start getting his life back. And so now old life's clashing with new life. And he is being hunted by these literal 7 deadly sins demons. Well, the demon of wrath possessed the Kingpin. And so the previous issue was a knockdown, drag-out fight unlike we've ever seen before between the Daredevil and the Kingpin, which was amazing. But then basically after it's all said and done and Daredevil's actually able to remove the demon from Wilson Fisk asks for absolution and forgiveness from Father Matt Murdock. So that's what this issue's all about.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Wow.
Yeah, no kidding. Like I said, the image of Wilson Fisk crying in fear and on his knees begging for forgiveness at the feet of Matt Murdock.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's powerful there. One DC selection I have for us this week is the 3rd issue of Absolute Power. That's the current run of their big event series here. This has been a really, really good series. Basically, Amanda Waller has teamed up with her own little group of villains, former heroes, whatever else, is working to basically take down and discredit every single hero in the DC universe, strip them of their abilities, and basically put her people in charge. She's working all aspects basically getting into magic, alien technology, whatever she can to beat the Justice League. Issue 3, we get kind of our moment of hope, and then it's shot back down again. But then at the end of the issue, we get one more moment of hope, maybe a possible solution to things. But there's also a very large problem that introduces itself, or should I say, himself, into this equation. Say someone from the fourth world who has like Omega Beam eyes and stuff like that.
Dark
Yeah.
Who
side.
could you be talking about?
Yeah, because Amanda Waller stole a mother box.
Oh,
Crap.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and guess who
Wow.
wants it back?
Well, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so so Darkseid gets involved in this. So that's gonna be
I love the Fourth World New God stuff. I really do. That stuff's so much fun.
It is good. Now on to the indie stuff here, and the indies are killer this week. I got 5 good ones to talk about here. First off, our boy Conan, his first event series in this new Titan run here, the Battle of the Blackstone #1. This is an amazing beginning to a crossover that literally involves every single character Robert E. Howard ever created.
Yeah.
So
well, minus Red Sonja.
Yeah, Sonya's not involved in this, but Dark Agnes is involved. Solomon Kane, El Barak, all kinds of other characters.
Professor Kirwan and the
other guy, and then basically the writer who basically thinks he's just writing stories, but he's actually creating reality. That guy's involved, so it's awesome. So you got basically this is kind of your setup issue, taking place in all different parts, but all linking with this evil Black Rock and a sigil that links to it, and a big evil conspiracy. And it's fun.
This is what we've been waiting on Conan for a year to get to, because that's what they teased that immediately. And the chick from the 3rd issue, the picked woman, she shows back up in it too. Yeah, she's a linchpin of it. Yeah, is that the cover that I got too, by the way?
Yes, it sure is.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's the cover I wanted. So that's awesome.
Yes, that is your cover, sir. Yes. Well, it's not, that's my cover you got here.
But.
Right. Issue 2 of the Return of EC Cruel Universe. This was a much better second issue than the first one.
You weren't too hot on the first one.
No, that's what. Yeah, the first one had a great first story, but then like the rest of the stories were just kind of meh. This one has got 4 stories here. The second story is really short; it's only 2 pages, but honestly, it's one of the best stories in here. But this is much better storytelling. I think there's not a bad one in here. I really enjoyed this one. Like I said, that's the kind of the fun with anthologies. We're getting lucky with Epitaphs from the Abyss, which is their horror anthology of the return of the old EC print. That's basically, those 2 issues have been a banger, every one. But second issue, much better on Cruel Universe. So definitely give this one a second chance if you didn't care for the first one. Yeah. Next up, new Jeff Lemire book, Minor Arcana, started this week from Boom Studios. This is really cool. It's basically a story of a young woman going back to her hometown, really not happy about having to do that. Her mom's dying of cancer, and also she runs a psychic shop there doing, palm readings and fortune telling, all that kind of jazz. But basically, of course, her mom is a fraud. But as we go on into the story here, we found out that maybe the daughter isn't. Maybe she's got the real goods here, and there might be some, stuff, basically some power awakening when she's having to go back to her old life here. So, but this is going to be a new long form series that Lemire's doing. So he just wrapped up Fish Flies, which was really cool. I like that one. But so I'm there. I like Lemire's stuff. So I'm interested to see that one. Next up, issue 5 of Rook Exodus. This is Jeff Johns, Jason Fabok. This is an outstanding sci-fi book here. It's a Earth that's a terraforming in the future. We've come upon this new planet that's habitable for us. We call it Exodus. So we do terraforming. We got people on there. Within 6 years of us being on there, we've A, ruined the planet, B, started a war, and C, everybody who can has gotten the heck off the planet because of A and B. So the only people who are basically left are called the Wardens. wardens. And now the wardens have these interesting helmets here, kind of like what Rook does here on this cover, where they control a certain type of animal. So Rook, in his case, controls crows and ravens and such like that. But there's somebody who has controls pigs and warthogs, and somebody has reptiles and whatever else. So basically, it's a way to communicate and control with animal life, and basically utilize them if need be, or just a way to control the population and control the whole ecosphere of Exodus itself. So yeah, it's a fantastic story. It's a great original concept. Basically, we've got someone who has killed one of the wardens and is masquerading in their persona, and then trying to turn some of the other wardens against each other. So basically, we're now having beginnings of a civil war between two factions of wardens, who are one trying to protect the planet and the other one trying to retake it for their own means, whatever that may be. So
Gotcha.
but every issue, it's a rare book because every issue just gets better and better. And we also sell out over at Clyburn Comics every time there's a new issue. So we have no back issues of Rook Exodus whatsoever. And we had to keep we keep upping the order every time we do. We still sell out. So yeah, it's a good one.
Dang.
Yeah. My favorite of the week from Distillery. This is issue 2 of The Blood Brothers' Mother. Westerns are back in comic books, folks. They are back in a major, major way. This is done by Ed Rizzo and Brian Azzarello. This is the team that brought us 100 Bullets. This is a revenge story where basically you've got some desperados get out of jail, and the leader of the gang is like, hey, let's go get my girl back. Well, girl got married to a preacher and has 3 boys. That didn't stop the desperados from basically taking out preacher and taking mom away, and so just leaving the kids. So the boys have decided that they're going to avenge their father and take their mom back from these gangsters. The oldest of the 3 boys is 13. The youngest is 8.
Yeah. Yeah, I got the first issue of that series too. I'm looking forward to the second one.
This is such a good story. It needs to be a movie in the worst way possible. Yeah, it's just, I can't say enough good things about this. I don't want to spoil anymore, but yeah, if you're not reading Blood Brothers' Mother if you're not reading anything from Distillery, because Distillery is just on point. They have just been outstanding with a lot of their books.
Yeah, speaking of Westerns too, The Thicket opened today. And that's the Peter Dinklage movie where he's it's the Western written by the Joe R. Lansdale based on his novel.
Yeah.
Michelle was super into that novel too. We talked about that before.
Mm-hmm.
That trailer looks really awesome. James Hetfield's even in it, as a regular, as a supporting character. The guitarist from Metallica. But Juliette Lewis is the bad guy in it and everything. It looks freaking awesome. And I got really upset because it was a Tubi original. And then it's opening in theaters because I was like, oh, cool, I get to watch it for free on Tubi. But yeah, it's like, nah, I'm going to wait.
Yeah, and apparently, people have been asking Dinklage, when he's been on this press tour, what's happening with the Toxic Avenger movie, and he's been jokingly but also seriously kind of saying, contact your congressman. So apparently there's some sort of holdup with the release of this film.
I was hearing something about that too. That is so weird because I know it's gotten some festival screenings.
Yeah, sure.
And the trailer's out.
Mm-hmm. It's been out for a year, and it should have come out end of last year.
Yeah.
So we're a year past this movie coming out.
Right. I know Uncle Lloyd wants that movie out too, but
because it gets put some money in his pocket. So
right, exactly.
And Bill is back. Welcome back, Bill.
Thank you.
All right. Got some more comments here. Ron, my buddy from Whatnot, one of our best customers at Clyburn Comics.
What's
good
up,
to see you, brother. Yeah, and Ron and I get to hang in the flesh here in a couple of weeks because he's going to come in town. We're going to get to hang out. So I'm looking forward to that. You're like for adults what the school library was for us nerd kids, where the librarian wasn't trying to stop us from reading anything. They were always trying to be like, no, here's more of what you want, and making it. Yeah, but it's you're the adult version of that. Pretty much, yes. And of course, I always like doling out information and knowledge to our new readers and giving them tips and answering their questions. So I love that shit. So that's fun stuff here. So, yeah. Cade, don't worry. We're definitely going to be talking about Unbreakable. That is for sure.
Absolutely.
And Cade says he's reading the Ultimate Spider-Man comics from the Ultimate Universe. So, yes, the new Ultimate Spider-Man is really good.
Yeah, I love the whole idea. Like the whole with the new Ultimate Spider-Man is like where Spider-Man got like he's married with kids and then he gets Spider-Man powers. So none of the awkward teenage stuff. It's like it's like a Spider-Man who's our age. And like, it's like his knees hurt one day and then all of a sudden they just don't. And then, it's like, how does he deal with that? Like, how does the family deal? It's great.
And I love it. There's a scene, kind of the preceding all of this where basically like you're watching the moment where like the spider's descending down on Peter's shoulder and it's about to bite him. And the maker literally like grabs the spider and goes, oh, that almost happened there. And so basically, Pete's like, oh, wow, thanks, man. It's like he didn't know what was about to happen. Of course, the maker did. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to let you be Spider-Man. So, yeah, I agree, Andre. Yeah, Del Otto definitely killed that cover. That was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And don't you worry, Mr. Diamond Dave Mattingly. Good to see you, because we are going to talk about what the world needs now is a shining hero.
Yeah, we were just discussing this movie before we went on the air, and not a favorite of mine.
I know. Yeah. Oh, Andre said at his shop too, they couldn't keep Rook and Geiger on the shelves. Yeah, those are good stuff there.
Nice.
All right, we're going to do a quick break here for our sponsor, Comic Books for Kids. We got to come back. We're going to talk a whole lot of movies here, so stick around.
Let's do it.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.
Visit cb4k.org.
We are back. And of course, just briefly, because I got to briefly talk about the crazy movie that Dave Mattingly and I absolutely love, the Alan Arkin 1983 classic, The Return of Captain Invincible. It's a comedy. It's a superhero movie. It's a musical. It's Australian, and it's really weird.
And I've seen my dog take better excrements in the backyard than that movie.
Wow.
Oh.
Okay.
No, okay. No, it's like I hated Rocky Horror Picture Show, right? It never appealed to me. I do not understand like why everybody loves it. The same people did that movie, and you can tell, and it's just bleh.
The Richard O'Brien and Richard Hester, who did Rocky Horror Picture Show, they wrote 4 songs for the soundtrack for this movie. So, yeah. And you can definitely pick out which ones are which, too. They sound like Rocky Horror songs, but yeah. I love Rocky Horror. The soundtrack they did for Captain Invincible was better than the soundtrack for Shock Treatment, which was the sequel to Rocky Horror. So, yeah, but that's one of my favorite weird ones. It is, Dave says he has seen it well over 100 times.
Oh, were you held hostage? I'm sorry. Like,
well, he's also got a supercomputer brain too, so he can just like watch it. But anyway,
oh,
but it is streaming free on Tubi. Decide for yourself. It's worth checking out if you like your weird movies. But we're going to talk about some good movies here, some ones we all agree are good stuff here, because we're talking about comic book movies that don't belong to Marvel and to DC, and there are actually many of them.
Yeah, so, there's more than you think, but yeah, it's there's still a minority.
There absolutely is. So we're going to let our esteemed guest go first here. So you gave me 3 picks that were your favorites that are non DC Marvel comic movies, and we're going to go in chronological order here because of course you got to start with this one first. Probably easily one of the greatest comic book movies ever, and also the reason your podcast is named the way it is. We're talking about 1994's The Crow.
Yes.
What? I mean, okay. If you say anything bad about this movie, then something's wrong with you. Okay. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not going to say it's up there with Shawshank Redemption or The Godfather, but I still
will.
Which
I
are not
will.
comic book movies.
You're right. Well, I'm talking in the pantheon of great movies. But
Yeah.
to me, The Crow is the perfect movie in the aspect of, for the time, the cinematography was groundbreaking. It had an awesome soundtrack. It had, I'm not going to, the special effects weren't all that special. I'll give you that. But the
They were
acting,
good for 94.
No, yeah, no, yeah.
well, I mean, for the most part, yeah, but the hand scene, that was, even for back then, that was
Okay,
pretty
but I got to defend that a little bit though, because you got to remember too, like at the time, like they were shooting movies for theater, right? Like TV and video was an afterthought, and
right.
it looks so much better on a screen than a 35 millimeter print of it than it does, and we're getting so far with high def with movies and everything that
Yeah.
it's killing some of the special effects. Like Clash of the Titans
Oh,
now, the original is
don't
almost
get me
unwatchable to me, but
Seth, you and I have had this debate, and 10 years ago, I bought The Last Starfighter on Blu-ray, thinking, "Oh my God, this is going to be in such a..." And I watched it on Blu-ray, and I thought, this was done in Microsoft Paint. I mean, the special effects were so bad. So I agree with that. But even by my standards, 94, I thought that scene was pretty bad. But because I thought Star Trek: The Next Generation was doing much better graphically, and that was in the 80s and early 90s. So, but either way, I'm not taking a dump on my favorite movie, because to me, this was still the perfect movie. It had violence, it had a great love story, it had great acting, and on top of that, unfortunately, it is a cult classic because of the tragic ending of Brandon Lee's life and how that happened. And God bless Brandon Lee and God rest his soul. But man, that movie was so good. Now, after reading the comic, I don't think it's one of those. It didn't go every way that the comic did, and yeah. So that's about the best way I can say it. But I'm still, in my top 5 movies of all time, The Crow is one of those movies that will never be replaced. It's up there with Tombstone for me. Good.
The interesting thing about The Crow is that, of course, when the original book was written in the mid 80s, when J.O. Barr was doing it, he was, of course, grieving the loss of a loved one.
Right.
He was very goth himself. So basically, it fit like 1980s goth. So that's why Eric looks more like Robert Smith than he does, like Brandon Lee. But then, like, you take, 90s goth and turn it that and basically decipher it that way. So that's why, like, the remake, I was at least going to give it half a chance, because at least it looks like, well, that's 2024 goth, sort of thing like that. But then after seeing the film and the changes that have been made and don't waste your time.
Oh, you've actually
really? It's that bad?
Okay.
I mean, okay, well, hold on. I never trust critics, and I damn sure don't trust the public, but I trust George. And if George is telling me not to go see it, then now I'm really concerned.
I mean, I have to go see it, or I have to see it at some point, because I'm not gonna lie, I blind bought the 4th Crow movie with Edward Furlong at Walmart. I paid $20 for that piece of garbage, and I still watched it. I watched it several times, actually, hoping that it would somehow be better than what it was, and it wasn't. But yeah, the Crow. Yeah, I love the Crow. I love the franchise, but yeah,
that's right.
And going back to something that you were talking about too, Bill, talking about the comic differences between that and the movie too. Some of the things, like I actually like that's one of the rare cases where I think that the comic and the movie are on equal footing as far as adaptation goes, because there's just some stuff that doesn't work that would work in the comic that doesn't work in the movie. Right. Like the whole idea of the skeleton cowboy showing up. I know, like, if you look on the DVD of The Crow, they actually shot these scenes. What was the guy from Hills Have Eyes, George?
Michael
Berryman, Michael Berryman.
Yes.
Yeah, he was the skeleton cowboy, and so it's like, you do not know that?
No.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
not.
and they shot a bunch of scenes with it, right? But apparently, like, that was even cut before Brandon Lee died because they never finished all of them, right?
Okay.
Wow.
But then they
Yeah.
also kinda realized that it would be kinda goofy if you just stopped the movie at various points and have this weird rotting character come up and just give you exposition dumps.
Yeah.
So that was when it was changed. Like in the comic book, like Eric knows exactly what he's doing, what he's there for, and what he's doing. In the movie, he's got to learn it, but it actually gave it that really cool thing with the touching stuff and the flashbacks.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that was really cool. So it's like I think the adaptation worked, and a lot of that was actually due to Brandon Lee as well.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
if you watch the DVD, James O'Barr even talks about like when they're having meetings about it, that at one point they seriously wanted to make it a musical and hire Michael Jackson. And then like they're like, well, you're just gonna piss all over everything. I'm not
Yeah.
besmirching Michael Jackson's music or anything like that, but like that,
It would be
you know, that
completely
was yeah,
inappropriate.
Yeah.
absolutely.
It would have
Absolutely.
never worked.
Yeah.
Hey, George, real quick before we move on to our next movie, have you ever heard Seth's story about where he met the girl that played Sarah in The Crow?
No. Not heard
So
this story.
Seth goes to this convention, and I don't know the young lady's name, but the girl that plays the Sarah in The Crow, the
Yeah.
little girl skateboarding, Seth had an interesting interaction with her. Seth, keep it short, but yeah.
I'm actually like I don't remember this. Like,
Oh, well, I
not,
remember
like,
you. I remember you coming home and saying, "Dude, all she wanted to talk about was anything but The Crow."
I see. I don't remember meeting her. Like,
Okay, I remember this story vividly because we sat on our couch and you talked about it for like 2 or 3 hours, and it's like 'cause you didn't have the best interaction with Ernie Hudson. Heather
I'm
Langenkamp,
like the only person on earth that didn't have a good Ernie Hudson interaction.
right?
Yeah.
But you had a great interaction with Heather Langenkamp from the Nightmare on Elm Street
Yeah.
movies.
Bomb ass. Yeah.
you
bomb ass.
were like this little B word did not want to talk
Oh.
about.
No, yeah, I do remember. Okay, yeah, no, because that was the time. Yeah, that was whenever I got to interview Albert Pune too. Because so it's like,
Yes, yes.
yeah,
Oh,
the
sweet.
whole,
And you met
yeah,
Al
the whole,
Snow that day.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
So the whole convention was great, except for her. Like she's one of the few people that I want to. So every time I meet a cast member from The Crow, they suck, and I didn't get it. But yeah, she just didn't want it. Like that was the last thing on earth that she wanted to do, and it was like,
Oh,
okay,
my
well,
God.
why are you here? I get it that it's like I'm
No,
not trying
that's
to.
not the story I got was she stopped everybody. It's like, hey, I've been in other stuff besides The Crow. When Seth said, like what?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I do have tendency to make to alienate famous people.
I
With,
wish I
smart-ass
had the money to
comments.
go to that convention with you that weekend. I really do.
Yeah, I did do
Dude,
that.
I was going to say, I've never had a bad interaction with a celebrity before, but a buddy of mine got to meet Ken Foray from Dawn of the Dead and many other films. And so when he was getting an autograph from him, my buddy asked him, "Hey, could you sign it to from one street brother to another?" That was not well received.
Oh wow.
Oh no.
Yeah, because my friend's white, and so he meant to do it as a joke, and
Oh yeah. No. That.
unfortunately, he said it kind of put a turd in the punch bowl for the rest of the autograph signing. So not only did he ruin his own interaction with Ken, he ruined everybody else behind him.
Thank you for indulging me though, George. That story, and whenever we talk about The Crow, I always remember that story from Seth.
You're good.
No, yeah, no, I do remember that now. But yeah, that was like one of those things that got buried so far back into the back of my head because it was like, yeah, the rest of the convention was phenomenal. Ernie Hudson wasn't at that one; he was at a totally different one. But yeah, no, Albert Pune was great. Like I got no issue. He brought me behind the table and we hung out for like 2 hours.
That's awesome. Yeah, that totally sounds like Albert too, because he was a really cool guy.
Yeah, he kept giving me DVDs off of his table and everything, and he's like, "Put these in your bag." Like his handler wasn't there yet, so he's like, "Yeah, it's like I'd get in trouble if like she saw me doing all this." But here,
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. Bill's next movie here. I love this one personally because I think it's a fantastic book to screen adaptation here. But this is 2007's 30 Days of Night.
Oh yeah,
dude. Okay, so I became totally enamored with this. I didn't even know at the beginning that it was a comic book adaptation. I just thought to myself, oh my God, Hollywood got one right. They're original. This is vampires in their ultimate hunting ground. There's only, one day a month in this small town in the Arctic where,
Barrow, Alaska.
Alaska, where they only have one day of sunshine a month. This is awesome. Hollywood finally, and no, they're just ripping off comics again. And then, yeah. So, but I agree with you, George. I actually went and bought the graphic novel after I watched the movie 2 or 3 times. Great adaptation. I'm not the biggest Josh Hartnett. Is that his name?
Oh yeah, Hartnett.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Josh Hartnett fan, but even he couldn't screw it up. And this was so good. Yeah, it was so good. Really well done. Chef's kiss. This one's up there. I would put it in, as far as comic book movies, definitely my top 5.
Yeah. And Danny Houston is the lead vampire. I thought he did a great job as well.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of good character actors. Interestingly enough, like I said, this is a great adaptation. There is a crucial part of the book that's missing from the film, because basically you see a lot of interaction between the vampire nation and a lot of their mythology and whatever else, and basically how this group of vampires that goes to Barrow, Alaska, basically because somebody looked up on Google like, oh, hey, this place has darkness for 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
We could go there and feed.
Yes.
And all the other vampire clans are like, no, don't do this. It's going to cause too much of a stir. You're going to have too much of a cleanup to do, blah, 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 blah. It's going to cause too much of a scene. They go anyway. They go rogue. So now you've got this like intermingling, this like interfighting between vampire organizations, because you've got this rogue group that goes down there. And then, of course, Melissa George's character, the wife of Josh Hartnett, or ex-wife in this case, she actually kind of like goes on a revenge streak in the next book, and actually the next couple of books.
They made a sequel to it. I never saw the sequel, or a film sequel.
Don't.
It just
don't.
It went straight to video, so that told me enough. Yeah.
No, and also no one from the original movie returns.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
that tells you a lot. It really does.
Yeah. And I thought like, oh, maybe they're going to stick to the. Oh no, it's they don't stick to the storyline from the book. Just don't stick. Only this movie exists. Just read the sequels.
Yeah. And now the comics on this one too, like I'm trying to tie it back in with the comics too, but the comics, like it actually went on to become like you were saying, George, a big series with multiple like events. Like there's like Return to Barrow, and then but now where it gets really fun for me is the crossover stuff. Because there's a
I didn't know there was crossover stuff. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, no. There's all kinds. Some of them are kind of silly. Like I think there's like 30 Days a Night crosses over with like Batman or something at some point.
Really?
Yeah, but no, the one that's really actually cool that makes a hell of a lot of sense is 30 Days of Night, Mulder and Scully from the X-Files get sent to Barrow, Alaska to start investigating this weird vampire outbreak. And it's a great series. Yeah, it's fun. Like as far as comics go,
Yeah, because 30 Days of Night has jumped around different publishers, because basically it's Steve Niles is the writer, Ben Templesmith is traditionally has been the artist on there, but it jumps around different companies. But when they've done some 30 Days of Night stuff for IDW, and at the time they were doing a bunch of like X-Files crossing over with a lot of the other IDW
Ghostbusters
properties.
Was the stupid one. 30 Days of Night and Ghostbusters. That was the dumb one.
Yeah, so that was the time when basically they, IDW had the property. So, but you're right. There have been some fun ones. There's been some interesting crossovers in the entire world of comics. Some that haven't been expected, but Elmer Fudd and Batman's always one that comes to mind. Is one of the greatest crossovers in comics.
I was a big fan of Archie meeting the Predator personally, but.
Well, Archie and Predator still had some like levity to it, but like Batman and Elmer Fudd, it was completely serious. Elmer Fudd was treated like a badass hitman, and he's come to Gotham to take out the Bat. It's Bat season.
I'll have to check this out then.
It's really good.
I want to see it, but I would rather see it in an animated form. I know it will never happen, but remember the Marvel versus DC series back in the 98, 90s, that era. And like I would love to see that in an animated series.
Oh, that would be,
whether it's Yeah,
Like
I
the
think that'd
like
be
the
very
DC
cool.
animated style. Oh yeah, I
Mhm.
loved that
Yeah,
series. I hated it and I loved it because number one, there's ain't no world where Lobo loses to Wolverine. I don't give a crap, you know,
really? Come on.
dude. I'm sorry, Wolverine. I hate Wolverine sometimes, but
I,
but no, it
I
did.
get where you're coming from, but
It did have the between Aquaman and Namor, that fight. Do you remember how that ended, Bill?
yeah.
Where Aquaman just has a blue whale flop on top of Namor, and he's like, I can still talk fish.
Well, what was funny about that one is Namor says, "I am the Scion of Atlantis," and Aquaman says, "Hey, I've done some Scion in some Atlantis." Yeah, dude, that one was really good. I love that fight too. But I think that would be the perfect, not perfect. I'm not going to say perfect because everything can be screwed up, but I think that would be a great project.
It would be fun, yeah.
It would be fun. Kelly,
Kelly, my
yo!
What's up,
brother.
Kelly?
Yeah, see, my favorite part of that was the Captain America Batman fight, where they stood across from each other for several long minutes, literally staring at each other, kind of studying each other, and
Mhm.
realizing that they could fight, but it would almost be a draw.
Yeah.
Like
It's like they could, I know this is Captain America's phrase in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but they could literally do it all day, and neither one of them is going to win.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, there always be a way there. Right? Now we got to get to your next one, Bill. Here, 2020's The Old Guard with Miss Charlize Theron in the role here.
I've never been the biggest fan of Charlize Theron. She was in a movie that I absolutely loved, Iron Mountain. If you don't know that movie, please go check it out. Oh, dude, Iron Mountain is amazing. And she killed it in that, but I've not been the biggest fan of hers. But oh my God, I didn't know this is another one. I didn't know it was a comic book movie until after I watched it and I went online. And dude, what an amazing adaptation! This was everything that you want. And I don't want to say it was word for word verbatim. And George, you probably know a little bit because I didn't buy.
It's pretty close.
Yeah, I didn't buy the graphic novel, but I did borrow it from Barnes and Noble.
But does that mean that you just sat in the store and read it for 2 hours?
Do you know my wife? Okay.
Yes, I do actually, and I have done that same thing.
The wife went through every section
if they didn't want you to sit there and read.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I sat there with a mocha cappuccino, whatever the hell, and read the graphic novel. I'm like, man, it's very, very close, and it was so good. And I know they're doing a sequel now, and I cannot wait for it. I'm not a big sequel guy. I'm like, some things just need to be left alone. I agree with George. Just stop. It doesn't need it anymore. But I'm really excited for this one, especially because of the mid-credits scene. But I will tell you this: this is also the most disturbing movie on my list, and let me tell you why. The scene where they kidnap. Can we give spoilers here?
Yeah.
Okay. If you haven't seen it, the movie's
spoiler alert.
I was like, the movie's been out for at least 5 years. If you haven't seen it by now, it's on you. Yeah, but the scene where Charlize Theron's partner back in colonial times, they throw her overboard, and she is at the bottom of the ocean in this iron casket. She dies and comes back to life. Dies, comes back to life. She drowns and comes back. Dude, I couldn't do that for 20 minutes and not go psycho.
Yeah,
She does it for at least a century? So I'm super excited to see this sequel. And dude, like George said, it's the closest adaptation of my 3 movies. Loved it.
Really is.
Can't wait for the sequel.
Yeah. It absolutely is, yeah. So it's, like I say, it was a fun movie. I was actually, I was disappointed that it was just going to be a Netflix movie because I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be, they're going to put the time into it. And then actually, oh no, they did. It was really well done. So
sometimes Netflix actually does pretty good with their their single offerings. Like I was actually super surprised that the Beverly Hills Cop movie was actually really good,
dude. With Netflix productions, there's no middle ground. It's either they hit a home run or they strike out.
Right. Yeah. Or it's dog crap. Yeah.
Exactly. All right, Seth, it's your turn at bat now. So we're going to
Yes.
go for your 3 movies here, chronological order as well. So we're going to start with the most indie comic book movie I think we could ever come up with. This was definitely the indie darling of 2001. We're talking about Ghost World.
Is
Yeah.
that Scarlett Johansson?
Yes.
That's
Yes, it
Scarlett
is.
Johansson
Okay,
and
okay.
Thor Birch.
Thor
Yep.
Birch. Yeah, Thor Birch was fresh off American Beauty on this one. I believe this might have actually been one of the first movies I'd ever seen Scarlett Johansson in.
This was definitely her breakout movie. Yes, this is
Yeah.
where the world discovered who she was.
Brad
Or
Renfro is
is.
also in it, and Steve
Yes.
Buscemi as well. And
I
so
love
this
Steve
is
Buscemi in this.
yeah, oh yeah. This is now this movie, like I worked at Blockbuster when this movie came out, and so I had to watch the trailer for it like 80 billion times because it was on the screen, you
Right,
know.
yeah.
But like once I actually got to watch it, I'm like, I freaking love this movie. It's a coming of age movie about like these two friends from high school and eventually how they just start to grow apart. And but it's like it's quirky, it's weird, it's fun. It's it's not a superhero movie by any stretch, but it's
No.
definitely a slice of life movie.
Yep.
But it's like I loved it enough to buy the Criterion when it came out. And it's like I still revisit it every once in a while too. It's just one of those movies that it's like you see and you're like, I know these people. Like
Yeah.
I know like every character in that movie. You're like, oh, I know a guy like him. I know a girl like her. I know I've know it's just one of those. It's just one of those fun movies. The graphic novel of it is very fake. Go what's up, Bill?
Okay, I mean, you guys, if y'all know 100% about comics, I know 30%. But I'd like to think I'm a little bit on par with y'all when it comes to movies. So, can you define for? I've never heard that phrase, "slice of life" movie. What does that mean?
Oh, it's
What
just like it's a movie where or it's like it's a movie or a book or whatever where it's like you're just following someone through like a point in their life. Like they may not necessarily
Okay.
have like it may not they may not necessarily have to like overcome something. It's just like, it's like here's where they start and then you're going to follow them around for a couple of hours and see where it ends.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like High Fidelity would be kind of like a slice of life movie almost.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah,
Days Confused is a slice of life.
yeah,
movie.
Dazed and Confused. Yeah, American Beauty would be a slice of life
Okay,
movie.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay,
Something
yeah.
like that, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I just never heard that phrase before. I was like, what is that? So
Yeah.
thank you for breaking it down.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, there's a lot of wonderful moments in the movie. Steve
It's a
Buscemi's
quirky
character.
comedy. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Steve Buscemi's character is like a big vinyl enthusiast. He loves like 1920s era blues records. And
Yeah.
so I guess my favorite scene, like he and Thor Birch are like they're hanging out because they're kind of buddies, and so they go
I know
to see-
exactly what scene you're going for. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to a show because basically, like, one of Steve Buscemi's favorite blues artists is playing. It's like this old guy in his 80s or something like that, just this absolute master, and he plays, and Steve's the only guy in the crowd that's into this dude. And then the next band comes on, and it's 3 white dudes, and they're going to come and do some authentic, real Mississippi blues. We're called Blues Hammer, and like it's just the worst cock rock you've ever seen in your life.
Oh yeah,
it's awful.
Thank you. Good night.
Yeah. That's pretty much what it is. Yeah, and it's great because like Steve Buscemi in it just nails it.
I know, but it's like we saw the authentic blues before you jackasses, and then you guys go, I'm like, we're going to show you some authentic blues. Like, you're 3 20-year-old white guys.
Right, yeah. What do you have to have the blues about?
Well, they got the blues because they hit a triple and realized they were just born on third base.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Sports ball.
Right. That's actually a really good analogy. I like it's like I've heard that a couple of times here lately. Yeah.
And yes, Kelly, that is the subject we are talking about. Superhero movies that do not belong to DC and Marvel Comics.
Comic book movies, not necessarily superhero movies, because Ghost World, there are no superheroes.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, 30 Days of Night is not a superhero movie. So
Right.
Well, them vampires pretty super. I'll tell you
that. Yeah, they ain't very heroic though.
Right.
All right.
Bobby Elvis, though, he totally drove a tractor into a building, though. That was pretty sweet.
Yes, that was pretty cool, though. Yeah. Now, so of course, Seth has got another one that's you can sort of call this one a slice of life, but this is a slice that's served with a lot of vengeance, shall we say here. 2005's A History of Violence.
Yes, and okay, so I loved this one. It's based off the graphic novel. David Cronenberg directs it. One of the few movies that Cronenberg does where it doesn't have some kind of weird body horror element, but
it's a normal movie.
Yeah, well, normal to a point, but like,
Yes.
yeah, it is extremely violent. Like Viggo Mortensen is a cafe owner, and it's like he's trying to just raise his family until he gets brought back into like the old life that he had, or where people acknowledge. It's a brutal movie. It starts out as a slice of life movie until Ed Harris
Mhm.
shows up,
Yeah.
and oh man, it doesn't have the nude fight scene like Eastern Promises does, but like it does have the best coffee pot smash in movie history. And yeah, it just goes up from there. Viggo Mortensen is the man in that movie.
Okay, number
He
one,
is.
y'all are dropping knowledge on me. I did not. I've seen this movie, and I did not know it was based on a comic or a graphic novel.
Oh yeah.
Wow, yeah. So, number two, I'm going to push back the coffee pot scene in Soprano season 2, where Jackie Aprile smashes it over Beans' head. That's pretty sick too. So,
Ooh, we're gonna have to have a whole episode dedicated to best coffee pot smashes.
right here on the Fanatic Forum, best coffee pot scenes.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say that we can bring up Fast Times at Ridgemont High or something like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But no, I love History of Violence, and I love that run of Cronenberg movies like that time, because it was History of Violence and Eastern Promises, and hey, there was another one in there too, but I can't remember what it was. It wasn't Cosmopolis, because that was a
That
relatively
was
recent
a
one.
little bit after, and Crash was about 2 or 3 years before History of Violence.
Yeah. A small segue on Crash, by the way, that every time everybody talks about the movie Crash, they're talking about that piece of crap that was about, the Oscar bait racism movie that was god awful. And I'm sitting there thinking they're talking about the movie where everybody gets horny at car crashes. So like that, yeah, that's the Crash that I love with with James Spader. Yeah. But
And Holly Hunter.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was a great movie. I'm a huge Cronenberg nut though. I love Cronenberg.
Yeah, but yeah, as far as Cronenberg stuff go, History of Violence and Eastern Promises are. I kind of get those two. They kind of run together for me because basically they're both Cronenberg. They both star Viggo Mortensen. They have similar plots. So
right, both Russian mob movies. Yeah,
both Russian mob movies. Yes, yeah, but yeah.
Speaking of that, I did in doing my research in these movies. A quick honorable mention: I did not realize that Road to Perdition was a comic book movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
dude,
I was
Road
like,
to Perdition is one that actually pisses me off significantly.
really?
Because, I read the graphic novel first. The graphic novel it's a John Woo, Lone Wolf and Cub, Hong Kong style action graphic novel, right?
Okay.
Like the Tom Hanks character is effing dudes up with a straight razor, and it's like double barreling it with 238s and everything, and it's awesome. Road to Perdition that we got is like that weird little character piece. That is like man, I wanted to see Tom Hanks kick ass. Like that would have been great. And it's just it didn't sit right with me. I do not like the movie of Road to Perdition.
I'll have to read the graphic novel to make that comparison. I liked the movie, but like I said, I did not know it was a comic book movie up until doing research for this show. So I've not read the graphic novel.
I'll admit. Go ahead, George. I'm sorry.
I'm in the different camp where I've read the novel and I've seen the movie. I enjoy both, but I do agree with you, Seth. I would have loved to see Ultra Badass Tom Hanks because we got that in the book. We got a toned down version of it in the movie.
Yeah. Now, had I not read the comic book before I saw the movie, I can acknowledge the movie would have been great. It's just the whole idea of what I came for was the awesome graphic violence. What I got was the weird little think piece, that I wasn't that into.
Yep.
But
I agree. Yeah. And now I saw the movie before I read the book, so I did the reverse that you did.
Okay.
So that's probably why I give the movie some credit that I do enjoy it, but because I experienced that first, that may be it. So
that's fair. Yeah.
And then your third and final film, and an excellent selection on this one here, the real adaptation of The Judge from AD 2000, Dread from Dread.
Oh, so
Screw
good.
that Sylvester Stallone.
So good.
I love me some Sly, but that movie was garbage. This is the real Dread movie.
Okay, you're talking now. I want to say this is a slice of life movie if you live in Mega City 1 and your name is Judge Dredd, because this is
or Chicago.
There you go. Yeah, but no, this movie it's a day in the life of Judge Dredd. And it's like it opens with a badass action sequence. Then he gets he has to take on a partner, Judge Anderson, and he's training her for the day. Then they get called. Then they get the call into a high rise where Mama is this big drug lord, and she's taking the thing over. And it's up to Dredd and Anderson to take it back. And nobody tells Dredd what to do, especially if they're a criminal. And he's just going to go in there and kick their friggin' teeth in. And he never takes the helmet off. And that's that's what makes it so much sweeter. It's a great siege movie. It's but like I'm gonna watch it again tonight probably because I'm getting hyped talking about it. But yeah, also I want to point out too that Halo TV series that everybody loved and wanted to say it's like, oh, you can't have a Halo movie without him taking the helmet off. Bull crap. Because that Dredd is the movie that I point to where it's like if you have a good actor and good writing, then it doesn't matter if they take a helmet off or not. Carl Urban did more with his mouth in that movie than that dude that played Master Chief did with his entire effing body, with his butt crack hanging out and everything.
Amen.
But no, yeah, Lena Headey is Mama in that movie. She's great in it.
Dude, she's so good, man. I mean, whether it's Game of Thrones, Dredd, what was I was
300,
The Purge. She's so good. But George, let me ask you this: when it comes to Dredd, we've seen a ton of movies with fully automatic Gatling guns, and the barrels are burning red hot and everything. Was that not the coolest scene? I mean, that
was so cool.
I was gonna say it's like just as the fourth Rambo film really taught the world what a Browning 50 caliber can do to the body in an accurate way. This is what happens when you basically let a Gatling gun just keep going and going and going. Yeah, those barrels will start to melt.
Yes.
So this
I thought it was a tremendous scene. That don't get me. I agree with Seth. This was a tremendous movie and a great adaptation. But that scene, oh my God, I'm here for it.
And just like the accomplishment that movie was, because it was super low budget, all things considered. Like the block of the tower that they're in is the same block. They just keep redressing it and turning it. It's like the special features on that are amazing. It's like a masterclass into how to do a low budget action film and to do it right. Because you'd look at it and you'd think that it costs $50 million. And it's like, I don't even think it costs like less than 20, all things considered.
Probably.
It was a flop though theatrically, which sucks because they were going to make a trilogy out of it. But the movie itself is still so friggin' good.
And see, the thing is too, is like there's still a lot of fan demand for a sequel. So it's like the fans who enjoy this movie, they want to see more.
Yeah, Carl Urban wants to do it.
Carl Urban wants to do more.
Oh yeah.
And that's the great thing about this movie is that what you talked about before, Seth, that this is kind of like a slice of life of Dredd. You don't have a big overarching plot or any of the big you got Mama, who she's in the comics, so we know her a little bit. But it's like but we don't have like this big thing. It's just like he's got some criminals, he's gonna bust them, and
he's doing his job. Like that is all it is to him, and it's just like, holy crap. Like, there's
but despite the low budget, it feels like a Dredd movie. It looks like a Dredd movie. Dredd looks like Dredd. He doesn't take his helmet off just like he does the comics. He doesn't light up at the end of the movie, like Stallone did. He is the same from the beginning of the movie as he is at the end of the movie. And that's why I'm looking forward to this new Hellboy the Crooked Man. It's a smaller budget film. It feels a lot. I mean, I love the two Del Toro Hellboy movies.
Oh, yeah.
But they're much larger than your traditional Hellboy stories. Yeah. Crooked Man feels like a BPRD episode.
Yeah. That trailer got me.
Before we move to George's movies, I have to do it. I'm not above the law. I am the law.
I am
the law.
That was the way they did that scene in Dredd 2 was so much better. I thought it was just so much more subdued. And then it's like he's on the intercom and he's just addressing everybody. He's like, "Mama is not the law. I am the law." It was just like he didn't need to like do the Stallone like, "I am the law." But
his mere presence and voice just evokes enough terror.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my three movies here that I picked for non-DC Marvel comic book films, I broke the rules a little bit because all three of my films qualify under this category, but not a single one of them are based on an actual comic book. These are all original films, not based on anything. My first selection, the one of the greatest films, in my opinion, of the 1990s that goes criminally underwatched. 1990s Dark Man.
Dark Man.
So,
Oh,
this is
I love
directed by
that.
Sam Raimi, starring Liam Neeson. It is an original superhero movie, but what the story behind this movie is Sam Raimi wanted to direct The Shadow, which we didn't get until 1994 with Alec Baldwin, directed by Russell Mulcahy. Sam Raimi almost directed a Shadow film in 1990, but everything fell through at the last minute. But he still wanted to do it. He still had a lot of things on the fire ready to go. And so he's like, you know what? We're going to make a new guy. And here's Dark.
Yeah. And so to me, this movie, I'm so happy that it exists as opposed to a Sam Raimi Shadow movie, because Sam Raimi was able to make this so much darker and more horrific. Like
Yeah.
this was a movie that messed with me as a kid, because Liam Neeson, I mean, he's burned like the entire time. Like he's covered in burns that are so friggin' painful. Like they had to kill his nerve endings,
Yeah.
so he can't feel pain. But
Right.
he's got he can make masks, and they last 88 minutes or 90 minutes, something like
90
that.
minutes, yeah.
Yeah. And oh man, and then the guy that plays Durant in that movie, I forgot his name, but he was the guy in LA Law.
Larry. Yeah. Yeah, he's that
Dr.
guy from LA
Giggles.
Law.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Giggles.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, the thing with the cigar cutter with the fingers. And then,
yeah.
oh, dude. And no, the one thing that got me too was like that Sam Raimi humor is in Dark Man as well, right? So it's like comedically like sick at times. Like Dark Man gets Sam Raimi's brother, and he's trying to get him for information. Then he goes to kill him, and he pops him out of a manhole and bobs him around like a jack in the box for a while until a truck hits him. It's freaking awesome. Yeah.
I know, I love it. But yeah, but like I say, just an insane, definitely a Sam Raimi movie without a doubt. And also starring a young Frances McDormand, because she's Liam Neeson's wife or fiance or something like that. So
Fiance, yeah.
yeah. But yeah, she's the scientist that kind of, or actually, she's not a scientist. She's like a business person or something like that. He's the scientist, and she's the one that basically gets him. So the bad guys essentially are going after her because she has some information on them, and they end up killing Neeson's partner, his lab partner, and then basically horribly disfiguring him and causing this whole thing to happen here. But yeah, it's like, so we almost got Sam Raimi doing The Shadow, but instead we got Dark Man,
which is even better.
There are 2 sequels that went straight to video. Liam Neeson did not return in the role. Arnold Vosloo, who we know from the Mummy films as the Mummy himself, he took over in the second and third film. They're not bad, but they're not great either.
Right, yeah. They're typical direct-to-video fare.
Yes.
Though the Larry Dr. Giggles does come back in the third one as the
Yes, he does.
Durant,
because they call it like the return of Durant or something like that. Yeah. So yeah, Die Dark Man dies the second film. But yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
But the original one, that's the one you want to watch there.
Oh man, and the climax scene where they're on the scaffold or the girders of the building that's being built, and then like Darkman gets the nail like driven through his hand, and then he just rips it off and goes after. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
The only thing I have to add to this is I've admitted that, some of the movies we mentioned, I did not know that they were movies based on comics. And this is a movie that I watched that I just knew in my heart was based on a comic. No, it wasn't.
100% original. Yeah.
Yeah. Marvel did the adaptation of it whenever it came out, but that was after the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, they did a movie adaptation. I'm sure it was like a 2 or 3 issue adaptation, I believe. Yeah. So my next selection, and of course, Kate had already brought this up earlier, but yes, one of my all-time favorite comic book films of all time. This goes in my top 5. 2000's Unbreakable.
Yes. Oh my God, I love this movie.
It's still, in my opinion, this is the finest work that M. Night Shyamalan has or will ever do. He's made many other good films, but to me, this is his magnum opus.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, please, please go. Yeah.
I was going to say, it's like, I will actually this is actually the start of a trilogy.
It is.
I will say that the trilogy that Shyamalan did with it is probably one of my favorite comic book style movie trilogies of all time. Like, I thought they were fantastic. But continue. I will let you gush over Unbreakable before I start gushing over it.
Yeah. but yeah, this, like I said, 100% original. It's a very subtle movie. You don't really know it's kind of a superhero movie almost until really the end of the film.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's the first act of any other superhero movie, but it's the whole
mhm,
movie.
right.
Yeah.
Uh, and the initial thing is, and originally Shyamalan didn't plan for this as a trilogy. He initially this was just going to be a one-off, and then when he was doing Split, he got the idea like, well, I kind of want to put a little thing on here, put a little something, and he's doing the character, and then I was like, well, wait a minute. And then it goes back to Unbreakable, and like, well, this guy's still around. So then basically, it was kind of like part of the way through production on Split was when he got the idea this can be a trilogy and throw Bruce Willis at the end of it, to kind of cement it all together, and then it all comes back together in Glass.
Yeah.
And also an unexpected ending for a superhero trilogy as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was
want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen Glass. I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, an unexpected ending for a superhero
yeah.
trilogy. Too.
I don't want to spoil anything out of any of these movies because Unbreakable, like you kind of like if you've never seen it, go in as blind as possible. Like yeah, because that will be one experience because I had to pick my
Please go in blind and don't watch it.
Oh, Bill.
I'm sorry. I couldn't. I'm sorry. I was so disappointed with that movie. But both things can be true. Y'all can love it, and I can
right.
not
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
it. So.
Yeah, that's true. But absolutely, fantastic movie. And then bringing up Split, I gotta give James McAvoy his flowers on that performance in that movie. Why he's not gotten recognized more, because like literally he's doing like 9 roles in that movie, and each role is distinctively different.
There's points in that movie where he's having conversations with himself. He plays a character that has like 20 something different personalities. And so it's like there's the Harriet, the woman, and then there's the little boy, and then there's the tough, like kind of like this weird sexual deviant man that they have to keep in check. And it's
there's a couple different women, because you've got like the nicer one, and you've got Roberta, who's kind of like the mother figure, Nurse Ratchet kind of keeper, and then of course we finally get to see the Beast, which is the worst of all of them. That's like, oh my god.
And then it's just watch the whole trilogy. It's
excellent stuff there.
I'm a huge Shyamalan fan, though. I love Signs. I think that's one of his great movies. Even though I'm like in the minority on that one, but I love Trap, the most recent one with
I need to see that.
Oh, dude, that one was awesome.
I've heard that's a fantastic Josh Hartnett performance, because it's like so much is done with his face.
Yeah, if you're not aware of that one, he plays a serial killer that takes his daughter to a rock concert, and then they find out that it's a trap to catch him. And I'm not spoiling anything by saying that, because that's all in the trailer.
It's in the trailer. The police don't know that's the guy, but they basically, through their investigation, like, he's going to be here. And because it's basically it's not a Taylor Swift, but it's kind of like a Taylor Swift.
Yeah, it might as well be Taylor Swift kind of deal.
Right.
And I'll tell you, watching the movie, it's fun because the way that they craft it in such a way, and Josh Hartnett's such a likable guy, you're actually rooting for him to get out at certain points. Like, you don't want him to get caught. Like, he shouldn't be the guy that you're rooting for, but he becomes the guy that you're kind of rooting for at a point.
Interesting.
And
I need to see that one. But the trailer was a great one. My final film here, once again, a 100% original comic book film, 2008's Hancock.
Yeah, and this was the one that I'm kind of like, on.
You know what? A lot of people kind of think it's like it's a little middling, or whatever. It's like, this is a great superhero movie because you've got a great hero's journey in here of a guy who starts out unlikable. By the end of the movie, you're digging him. You're amused by him at the beginning, but you still don't like him, but you like him by the end of the film. His power set is very easily manageable. The mythology around the power set is manageable. Like, you get how he and Charlize Theron affect each other and whatever else. The bad guys are understandable. Like, he's the only one that's got powers. The bad guys, are affected by things he's done, and they kind of almost like, it reminds me of like that, the Punisher Circle of Blood storyline, where he's hired by a group of old rich white dudes who've all been like maimed horribly by other criminals. And so they want him to go hunt for him, and then by the end, the Punisher ends up hunting the Circle. So
right,
yeah. So it's kind of like that. You got like this group of guys who like they've all been either maimed by Hancock or affected by him in some way. Like, let's team up and get this guy out of here, sort of thing like that. So, but it's just a really kind of well crafted, kind of accessible comic book movie, I think. So, but yeah,
I think it'll work for me better.
Let me jump in.
Go ahead, George. Or go ahead, Bob.
I'm a big Will Smith fan. Forget all the controversy over the last 2-3 years, whatever.
Yeah.
Huge Will Smith fan. I would say that if you want to see a movie that portrays Will Smith more in a comic book maybe role, but this movie was based on a book, I would say I Am Legend is a superior movie.
Mm-hmm. My biggest problem with I Am Legend is that I'm such a fan of the book, and with the exception of the Vincent Price adaptation from the 50s that's gotten close, there's not been a good adaptation of the film.
Okay, that's fair. That's very fair. I would agree with that.
The first hour of Will Smith's I Am Legend is fantastic.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
But they never get the ending right.
Yeah. Well, the book, like, have you ever read the book, Bill? Like, or do you know what it, or... No, I'm not
brought it up if I hadn't read the book, Seth.
Okay, all right.
I'm not a criminal. I can read.
I know that. I just didn't know. Some people haven't. It's kind of, all things considered, it is kind of an obscure cultural touchstone, but it's still
significant. I would agree with that, but I'm an obscure human being, and after 25 years, if you don't know that by now.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, to me, they never land the ending of I Am Legend right. Like, it's
because that's fair.
Yeah, because honestly, it's the funny thing about, to me, the way I've always interpreted the meaning for the ending for I Am Legend was it's basically kind of almost a railing against the new society, or basically like the hippies, or kind of the free thinkers. It's like, no, you're not free thinking. You're all thinking the same thing. I'm the last free thinker because I'm thinking differently than you, and so. When basically the new society of vampires is going to basically execute him, and he ends up committing suicide so it's kind of like this total FU is like, you're not going to take me out. I'm going to take me out because I'm still in control of my life. And so it's this total angry anti-establishment FU, but the establishment isn't what we think of as the establishment. It's the anti-establishment we're rallying against.
Yeah, we're seeing from the novel's perspective, we're seeing it all from the dude's perspective, and he doesn't realize like what he is doing in this other society. Like, he's putting it together in his head, and we're seeing him, trying to figure, because there's that whole bit where he's trying to figure out like, well, why do crosses work sometimes and sometimes they don't, and then he's like hangs up like stars of David, and it's like, if you're a Jewish vampire, that's what you're afraid of, and like like weird little stuff like that. Now some of it, like I think is when Richard Matheson wrote it was in the 50s, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like some of it is like kind of anchored back in there, and it is a little archaic, not much, but but especially like around the midpoint when the woman shows up in the daytime. And and that's the other thing too that kind of pissed me off about the movie, the Will Smith movie, was that nobody ever had that. Like, it was a virus that did it. It wasn't the vampirism. Like, it was it was really. What are you doing? All right, Moxley's having his own little party back there.
He's trying to turn on the PlayStation. Help him out.
He wants to play the new Astrobot game,
right?
But and I was even upset more at the I Am Legend DVD because they offered like this new extended ending, and I was like, oh, cool, they might actually do it right. Nope.
Yeah, it's like for the theatrical ending, it's still somewhat the dour ending, and then for the extended ending, they try to make a happy ending. I'm like,
yeah,
you got it wrong twice in the same movie.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I get my first 2 marriages. I got it wrong twice.
Yeah. I get that people go to the movies and they don't want to be bummed out, but sometimes, man, like, like that.
If you make movies that you don't want people bummed out, then why do they make movies of Cormac McCarthy books?
Oh, you're damn right.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah.
Yeah, we're 3 books in on Cormac McCarthy and being adapted into films, and not one of them is a happy movie. They're all great movies, but
I can't wait
not.
till they get to this one because it's going to
Right?
be. Oh, dude, it's
Supposedly, yeah, they've been working
yeah.
on that
No,
one for a
it's
while.
coming. I don't know how they're going to do it. I'm curious as all hell, but
Okay, I need to apologize. I did not mean to divert this much attention away from George's third pick with
Oh,
Hancock.
no, we're done.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
my
So
third.
I apologize. That's
No,
on me.
No, I'm done. I'm done talking about my third pick. So this is where we go off a tangent again here.
no. I
Right.
did swing it back around to Hancock for a second though. No, my problem with Hancock though was the midpoint of the movie. Like if it just would have been like the people like going after Will Smith and Jason Bateman trying to help him like keep his image up and everything, that's fine.
Yeah.
The whole Charlize Theron like middle plot where they were like ancient lovers and that kind of stuff, that was like what? Like it felt like there were 2 movies that like they just one immediately stopped and the other one started.
That's a good
And
point.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is kind of
was it Charlize Theron or was it Cameron Diaz?
no
Charlize
Charlize.
Theron, yeah.
Oh, okay. Blonde Hollywood. I get it mixed up. Sorry.
Yeah, but yeah, I still enjoyed it for what it was, and it's it's not a perfect film by any means, but yeah, I think Peter Berg did a fine job with it. It's kind of interesting that they've never kind of bothered to revisit this or do anything more with it or whatever else, because I know Smith was really behind it and it did well in theaters.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of curious why this one.
You notice though that movies that Will Smith really puts his heart into always kind of tank.
Dude,
Like,
what was the one? Wild Wild West. What?
Oh
was
yeah,
that?
Wild Wild West with Kevin Kline. Yeah.
God,
yeah.
that one tanks so hard.
What was the one he did with his kid? After Earth.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was bad.
That was a Shyamalan movie too, wasn't it?
No,
I don't
that
think
was
so.
Was it?
no, that was oh shoot.
Hang on.
No,
I'm
it was-
looking it
it
up.
was-
I'm looking it up.
Yeah,
I think it was Shyamalan produced it. I think.
yeah.
I don't think he directed it though.
No, he did direct it.
He did.
He
He
did.
did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's a Shyamalan toilet bowl because that was
That's a Shyamalan stinker.
Yeah.
that movie was to me. That movie is the toilet bowl version of Interstellar.
And see, I was not a fan of Interstellar myself.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
See,
Okay,
dude.
Bill and I agreeing on something.
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
We both love Interstellar.
Dude, I thought Interstellar, other than it ran a little too long. I think they could have done it in 2.5 hours instead of 3. But
No one
other
doesn't
than
do
that,
short, man.
what's that?
Yeah, okay.
No one doesn't do short.
I know, but still,
Yeah.
it was still. I thought it was an amazing movie.
That movie should have been
absolutely.
over in 10 minutes because no, I'm dead ass serious because the logic that they present in that movie, unless the characters have become somehow mentally deficient by the end of it, because okay, spoilers for Interstellar, with the whole book knocking and Matthew McConaughey sending her messages, back through time, like why doesn't he just friggin' tell her from the jump instead of doing all these weird, like he can communicate. He's still got his like. No, I'm being serious though. Like that totally took me out of the movie the first time I was watching it. I'm like, these characters are morons, and
that's not fair.
It for the logic that the movie presents and the way that they now okay, starting the movie up to that point, if they would have come up with a different way, I'd be totally on board with it. But yeah, and then the whole idea of like, oh, it's always, the whole thing is love, and it's like, okay, whatever with that. But no, the bookshelf communication thing should have been smarter with that.
George, he says this, but literally less than a week ago, he had this argument with my brother because my brother has this same mindset when it comes to Lord of the Rings. Oh, they should have just hopped on the Griffins and flew to Mount Fires of Mount Doom, and that movie is done in 20 minutes. And Seth defended the Lord of the Rings movies, and you just
I didn't. I've never defended those movies. I hate those movies.
Okay,
remember I gave you my Blu-rays of those movies because I did not want them.
He did give me the collector's edition with the map. I remember that part, but yeah.
No,
okay,
I've never been. I was never a Lord.
See, it was me who was defending it. 50th birthday. I'm old.
I think it was you defending it because I will still say the Battle of Helm's Deep was the coolest thing
Oh,
in
are
the
you?
whole series.
Dude, the Two
But
Towers is by
is
far and away the most superior movie of the last 30 years.
Yeah, but it was just like, man, those movies were a slog, and it was just like everybody I know loved them. I had to go see them multiple times in the theater and
Dude, I
pay for
swear
them,
it
and it
was
was
you
just
that was making the argument for that
no,
because Daniel's like, oh, they just hop on the Griffins and the movie's over.
yeah.
So
I feel like
And
the
those
books
are
are
Eagles,
worse,
by the way.
or
Griffins,
yeah,
the flying
whatever.
guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
stupid flying
they're
things they
just
should have
Eagles.
used.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's all about the hero's journey.
Yes, yes.
That's the short, quick answer for why they don't do this. It's about the hero's journey, and that's what we're on here.
And I
We're in
get that it's the hero's journey, but they can make the heroes more interesting. They could make they could cut down that runtime of that whole series is like what 11 and a half hours. You know, if
well,
you were to
depending
watch them
on if
back
you're
to back
talking
to
about
back.
the theatrical or the director's cut. It all depends.
Yeah. And God bless Peter Jackson finally to realize that his theatrical cuts were bloated as all hell, because those extended cuts, I know people love them, but damn, they're more padding than a 13-year-old girl's training bra. You know,
Dude.
like
When Return of the King was gonna premiere in theaters, just the regular cut, Stony Brook did like a big film festival, and they showed the director's cut of Fellowship, the director's cut of Two Towers, and the theatrical of Return of the King. And so you could sit there all day and watch those with breaks in between and stuff like that. And so yeah, I was at that thing, and it was literally an all day thing.
George, which Stony Brook is that the one that's on Shepherdsville Road?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
That
dude.
thing
I
has
used to
also
love
become
that
a
theater,
hole.
man.
That theater
What's
has
that?
become a hole.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah,
like one of the
it
worst
has.
theaters in Louisville now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's no longer the. But there's so many other theaters that popped up in the area. It's kind of gone down, and they haven't really done a lot to do anything with it since AMC took it over. So
But back in the day, that was the place.
That was the place to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
it was
After Showcase on
that,
Bardstown Road closed, yeah, that was the next place.
yeah, it was that, and what was Tinseltown? It's there in West.
Yes,
Virginia.
Tinseltown.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think Tinseltown's still going. Last time I heard.
Yeah,
but,
it still is. Yeah, still is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, we could do a whole other episode about movie theaters, and not just movie theaters that we visited, but how the movie theater industry is on the struggle bus, but it's somewhat coming back. We could do a whole other episode about that.
That's
alone.
great. Yeah, I would love to do that as an episode because
That would
just
be
the
cool,
movie
yeah.
theater experience. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
of course, man,
I'm with Bill on that one. It's like that. You know, I'd much rather watch movies at my house because I've got a better setup, I feel, and I don't have to deal with people. But
Yeah.
like, there's still the whole movie going experience that like
Mhm.
like when we went to see Blade Trinity, it's like that
Yes.
movie was kind of awful, but it was
Oh,
a blast because of the people that we went with.
Mhm.
Yeah, George wasn't with us that time, but it was
No.
me, Bill, and
But no,
yeah.
I agree with you, Seth, and George. I think you will probably agree. There's nothing like going into the theater, opening that door, and smelling that popcorn. There's
Mhm.
nothing like the musty smell coming off the carpet, but you got to go play air hockey before the credits start. I mean, there's nothing like that movie theater experience, and the new generations are not getting that like
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate, but I wish they would because it's such a great experience.
Well, it all depends what the experience is. If you're just going to your standard neighborhood theater and seeing whatever the big movie is that week that comes out, yeah, that experience is not all that great. What you still get the fun crowd experience is seeing like a specific showing of a movie for a reunion festival. Like basically like whenever they do like the Warriors reunion at Coney Island in the summer, and they show the Warriors on a screen that's attached to the big wheel.
Yep.
Stuff like this. Like that's an experience. Still going to the Baxter Avenue in Louisville and seeing Rocky for midnight on a Saturday. It's not the same as doing it at the Vogue back in the day, because the Vogue is a thing I miss still to this day.
The Vogue is a cultural landmark that we've lost. Yeah.
But the Baxter has definitely taken up the mantle of keeping that culture alive, of the midnight films and doing fun stuff like that, like the Vogue used to do in Louisville. So it's the special screenings. You're going for a specific movie because you're a fan of that movie, and maybe some of the actors, the director will show up at a Q&A.
Right.
Those experiences are fun. I remember doing like the midnight screenings, like when they re-released the old Star Wars films, or when like Episode 1 first came out. The excitement in the crowd for these movies.
People would
That's an
camp out.
experience.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't
Yes.
get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I love the convenience of going online and getting my tickets and picking the seat and everything. There is a charm in that, but
Yeah.
nothing's gonna beat like the whole idea of like if you wanted to be first showing first day, you were camping
Yes.
out for Star Wars, man. Like
Absolutely.
it was, yeah. Oh man,
And
I
George,
remember.
I'm so glad you brought up the Baxter Avenue Theater. And I know we got to wrap this up, but dude, the Baxter Avenue Theater, I agree with Seth. I'm not a big fan of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, but that was the
Mhm.
first time I ever saw Rocky Horror was at the Baxter Avenue Theater. And but like you said, that was an experience. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm just taking my date here because this is what she wanted to see, but man, this is cool. This little theater, it was an amazing time, and not my favorite movie, but I still had a great time. So
Yeah,
I love that you brought that theater up.
Yeah.
I'm with Bill on that one. Like I like I said before, I hate the movie, but no, like the experience of seeing it in a theater with the people, like the
Yeah.
spectacle alone is something, because you got people that are just doing all the parts to it and they're
Yeah.
going nuts and everything. And I got to see one of my favorite movies, one of Bill's favorite movies as well, on 35 millimeter at Baxter Avenue, the original RoboCop. And yeah. Oh yeah, that was, and that's the thing. That's one of the reasons why I love Baxter too, is because right now, like movies all now are digital projection, unless you go
Yeah.
like somewhere else. And like, and don't get me wrong, 4K, IMAX, all that's well and good, but
True.
there's something that you're losing by going off of 35 millimeter like that. Like the whole part of the movie going experience, like with the original, like the 24 frames a second camera deal, was you were paying for a black room mostly, like to have that projector experience. And there's things that you do on film that you can't do on digital now, or it's like the experience is like it's evening out. But like, yeah, I like the idea of spectacle movies or event movies like that you dress
Mhm.
up to go see, or something like, yeah.
If you're a fan of the Fanatic Forum podcast, you just basically got a 2-for-1 show, because I literally said like 25 minutes ago, oh, this is a whole nother podcast. And here we are. So,
Yeah, we just went ahead and talked about it. Yeah.
we did.
Yeah, exactly.
That's on me. I'm sorry, guys. That's on me. My apologies.
Dude, we're at standard time right now for our episodes typically here, because Seth and I had to start going off on tangents. So we're usually an hour and a half right now. That's kind of normal for us. We've gone like an hour and 45 minutes, and we haven't broke the 2-hour mark just yet, but
It'll happen.
Wait.
It'll happen.
wait. Yeah.
Just wait.
All right. Well, of course, we can't, we've discussed the podcast briefly here, but we got to give a proper plug to the Smokes and Roadbeers podcast. Gentlemen, take it away.
Yeah, Smokes and Roadbeers is every Thursday. Well, except for this Thursday, we knew we were going to double up on shows. So yeah, we
knew the internet was not ready for Seth and Bill 2 times in 48 hours.
Right. So we're on Rumble and Facebook. Smokes and Roadbeers every Thursday at 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central. Is that right, Bill?
Yeah, yep.
Or,
5:30 Central, 6:30
yeah.
Eastern. And do not be afraid of Rumble, everybody. The reason Seth and I stream on Rumble is because it's not censored. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to get into political BS and garbage, but on Rumble, we're not censored.
We're not censored. We're also like the 5th most watched show on there. So,
I was gonna make that point, Seth. Yeah, it's like people are tired of the politics on Rumble. It's like, oh, hey, a show that's not politics. Let's watch.
Well, not only that, we're probably the 2nd most watched show that has nothing to do with politics on Rumble. So
yeah. So yeah, it's a
don't
scary
be afraid of Rumble, guys.
Right. Yeah. If you look on the landing page, there's like, Donald Trump Jr.'s show or whatever, it is, but it's like, but no, it's like there is gold to be mined there. Our show being some of the gold, I would like to say, but they don't, we've had issues trying to stream to YouTube and Facebook before. YouTube is a nightmare. We will try and use promotional material from other companies, like trailers and stuff, and we get blocked or deleted.
I'm still trying to figure out how everybody and their mother can do a review of Captain America: Brave New World, but me and Seth can't.
Yeah,
that
it's weird. Because
Yeah.
we talk about this trailer on Fanatic Forum.
Yeah, we watched the trailer here and it was fine, but
I
we
don't
do it on
know.
Smokes and Roadbeers, and Facebook's like, nope. You know,
It's so weird, but don't be afraid of Rumble. I get it's scary out there, folks. I don't want to leave the house either, but don't be afraid of Rumble. Come check us out. 5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern. Smokes and Road Beers exclusively on Facebook and Rumble. We talk everything we talked about today. We talk comics, movies, TV shows, music. We have amazing guests. George has been on there a few times. We've got some.
he's actually due to be back on at some point.
Yes. George is actually we have a guest on at least once a month, but George is a regular once a month, and then we have the Super Saturday Spectacular with our Viking Princess Audrey. So make sure you come.
It's not just a bunch of white dudes giving their opinion. We actually have a female perspective from time to time.
Yeah, and then of course Desiree pops on there.
Yeah, Desiree pops in for that. Yeah.
Well, she popped on because she's trying to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu on us, and we're like, dude, stay over there. Dude, she's a badass, man.
She's
I love me some Des, but she's a badass.
Well, she's a badass, but then I appreciate her takes on the comic stuff and the movies. For being a young reader, she knows what she's talking about. She's got some good perspectives.
Not only in that, but she in the gaming space, whether it's digital or tabletop, Des knows her shit. Sorry.
No, we can say that. We can say that. Yeah, we can say that.
Des knows her shit. So, and she's the proprietor and owner of the Women of Gaming franchise. So go check that out too. Des is awesome. She's on the show all the time, and George is on the show. Just come check us out. Smokes and Road Beers, 5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern on Facebook and Rumble.
Yep,
absolutely. And of course, before we wrap up, there was a couple other some other comic book movies we didn't quite think of. One we didn't think of, I'm surprised no one mentioned, even though it's been associated with Marvel. And technically, it starts with novels, but Conan the Barbarian counts because Conan. Because I mean, granted, it started with the Robert E. Howard novels, but then Conan has been adapted into comics by Marvel, Dark Horse, and now Titan.
I don't know if I'm more upset that I forgot that or that Seth forgot that.
I don't know. Like, to me, Conan's one of those characters that, he's got a huge comic book. Okay. Realistically, Conan is not who Conan is without the Marvel comics, because that's what made, not to slight the Robert Howard short stories. I love them. But there was that period of time where, the 40 years, it was very difficult to come across those original Howard stories. And Marvel carried the torch. So I got to agree with that. The movie, though, is not really the comics or the novels, weirdly enough. It's great still, but Conan the Destroyer is more along the lines with the comics.
Yes,
I think. But the original.
And surprisingly enough, my least favorite of the two Arnolds.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh yeah, it's definitely the weakest one. It's definitely the weakest one.
But if you want to get some, here's a funny comic book movie here that basically it's every cosplayer's fantasy here. 1980s John Ritter classic, Hero at Large. So John Ritter is a kind of down on his luck actor. He is basically tasked to dress as this Captain Amazing character to promote an upcoming film that he's not in. But as he's promoting the film and dressed as Captain Amazing, he foils a bank robbery. And so then basically it kind of leads to this whole thing of him basically kind of, wrestling with being a celebrity, wrestling with being a hero. And then basically Ann Archer's his girlfriend in the film. And it's basically well, why don't you just ditch the whole, superhero thing and be like a firefighter or a cop, be a real hero or something. So it's always kind of funny, but it's a fun little thing there. But like I say, it's every cosplayer's dream because you're dressing up as Captain America, then you get to foil a crime, and then suddenly you're Captain America.
Right. George, can you put that back up real quick? Okay. Captain Avenger.
Captain Avenger, that's what it is.
Okay, I was like, because you said that, and I was like, I'm old and my sight's not what it used to be, but I was like, I think that says Captain Avenger.
I got it mixed up. That was Captain
Oh,
Amazing.
okay.
Yeah, Captain
And I'm
Avenger.
not trying to correct you. I mean, sure,
No,
show. I
you're
would
good.
never do that. I was confused. I'm old. I forget things.
Good here. And then definitely the most subversive film I think we'll ever talk about on the Fanatic Forum here. You can find this one on YouTube, because trying to find this one streaming anywhere else, good luck. We are talking about 1969's Mr. Freedom. This is a film by photographer and expatriate director William Klein. It has a brief cameo by Donald Pleasance, Serge Gainsborough, and a whole bunch of other people. But basically, this is the I hate America, I hate heroes, I hate a lot of things kind of movie. Mr. Freedom is a former football player who gets basically hired by the United States government to kind of be like a superhero, vigilante sort of character, but it's a whole take on imperialist America and, basically all kinds of things. Just it's like I said, William Klein hates him, some of his former homeland. So this is a movie that really explores all that, but it's totally a parody and a satire. Because basically we're at war with France. Mr. Freedom blows up Paris, and then basically in that, after he blows it up, the people of France revolt against him and basically end up killing him, drawing him, and quartering him in the streets, sort of thing like that. So it's total weird, wacko, subversive, psychedelic film. Maybe take it with a substance of your choice that might be a little bit more enjoyable for you. But if you want to get into some real weird stuff, Mr. Freedom.
I got to admit, when you first put that poster up, the first thing that popped in my head was Running Man and Jesse Ventura, Captain Freedom.
Oh, yeah.
And this woman here, that's his sidekick, or, human sex doll, basically.
I was going to say sidekick. Is that an innuendo?
She's supposed to be his sidekick if Batman boinked Robin on a regular weird basis, and it made it just dirty. And it's
wow.
Something's dirty, all right.
That movie looks like something Vinegar Syndrome's going to come out with on 4K in 6 months.
They may have already. I'm not entirely sure. But it's a unique film and something that could be considered somewhat of a comic book movie, but it's far on the spectrum of the fringe on that one there.
All right.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. This was a great time, folks. I love you guys.
This was a blast. Yeah. Thank you for coming, Bill.
Great show. Oh, thank you guys for having me. And I can't wait to have George back on the Smokes Roadbeers podcast. This was amazing. I knew we were going to have fun. I didn't think we were going to have this much fun. This was awesome. Thank you guys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you'll be back again. We're definitely having you back on here again.
Of course. So, of course, tune in, Smokes Roadbeers podcast, 6:30 Central, 5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern on Rumble and Facebook. Thursday nights, gotta check my boys out if you haven't already. And of course, the Fanatic Forum. Like it, share it, let your friends know, let your family know, let people you don't even know about it. You got to spread the word here, because this is the place for geeks and to be geeks and have a good time. So thank you guys. Have yourself a wonderful weekend, and we will see you all next time on the Fanatic Forum. TTFN.